You are about to enter a special place, the Mariposa Grove of giant sequoias. The grove is home to hundreds of giant sequoias, the largest tree species in the world. Once you enter the grove, gaze up at the towering trees. Observe how sunlight passes through the canopy and the unique color of the tree's bark in the filtered light. Breathe in the earthy scent of a thriving forest filled with pines, firs, cedars, and oaks, and listen for bird song. As you explore, experience the wonder of being surrounded by some of the rarest and most remarkable living things on the planet. These are the words posted at the Mariposa Grove Visitors Center at the Yosemite National Park, south entrance in the central Sierra Nevada mountains of California. Some of you know that for my 50th birthday last summer, I gifted myself with a solo trip there. I couldn't have predicted what standing at the foot of those mighty sequoias would feel like. You don't have to travel to California for the numbers alone to have a staggering effect. For example, mature sequoias grow to 250 to 300 feet. That's about a 25 to 30 story building. With a 20 to 30 foot base circumference, which would take about 20 to 25 adults to wrap themselves around. Most of these giants are 1,000, 2,000, some 3,000 years old. You try to wrap your head around that amount of time, all that they have seen. And you try to comprehend this or picture it, but it's almost too big to fully go there. And that is what I felt when I arrived in that grove last summer. The bigness felt incomprehensible. In fact, merely standing at the foot of one, and this one wasn't even a fully mature one, made me dizzy. When I gazed up, as was told to do, the ground actually felt like it was moving underneath my feet, and I had to sit down. It's a good thing to have to do this from time to time. We humans need to be right-sized more often, for we can think ourselves so very big and magnanimous. We aren't. To help with this, I try to put my attention, and I know I have a sister in this in Lynn and one behind me too, regularly towards the vastness of space. That we are part of one galaxy whose scale alone is incomprehensibly dizzying, and yet there are, as science now tells us, at least 100 billion more galaxies like ours. Or consider the epoch of time we humans have inhabited Earth as being 0.007% of her 4.5 billion year history. That's more or less a single second in about a 4-hour movie. That second is human history. These kinds of numbers can and should make you feel like you're losing your footing, right? And to even attempt to try to comprehend them kind of requires sitting down. Pondering our microscopic pinprick of a galaxy, our tiny lives, it offers me a strange kind of comfort, because you can't help but see that it's not solely on our shoulders. We aren't anywhere near as important as we think. But if this makes you feel insignificant, let me assure you, you aren't. It was also John Muir, whose reading Carol so beautifully read earlier, who said that, quote, "When we try to pick out anything by itself, we find it hitched to everything else in the universe." Hitched to everything else. And one need, say, only consider the mightiness of the honeybee to know this to be true. That great pollinizer whose very existence keeps us from starving. 80% of US crops depend on them, and 75% of flowering plants that keep our ecosystem healthy and livable also depend on them. No, grandness in size isn't the only thing that requires sitting down. I was told a story when given a tour of the Yosemite Valley floor that there was a time when Yosemite Valley was on the brink of devastation. In 1850, white settlers and a militia arrived to forcibly remove the indigenous Awanichi people from the valley to make way for mining and agriculture and tourism and a lot of other things. And not all that long after this, Preservation and Protection Acts began being enacted, and by 1890, it was deemed a national park. But by the 1960s, despite these conservation efforts, Yosemite's ecosystem was in terrible shape. For unlike the Awanichi, who had stewarded that land and sat at its feet for millennia, these conservationists, including John Muir, did not know how to fully listen to that ecosystem, nor understand their hitched place to it. The sequoia groves, along with a multitude of other species in that valley, they need fire to live. Not out of control, life-sucking wildfires, but controlled, life-creating heat. For one, it punches a hole in the forest, allowing more light and more water for the sequoia seedlings. Fire also, this is my favorite part, fire also heats the cones up, enabling them to stretch and expand and open, where a rain of seeds then fall to the ground. Only heat from fire can make this happen effectively. And finally, fire clears away all the leaves and brush that builds up because sequoia seeds need to hit bare mineral soil before they can germinate, enabling them to survive and thrive come spring. Those nearly 100 years of letting it all go wild created a domino effect, for as we all know, when one species ceases to thrive, all suffer. And things were not looking good in that valley. I am glad to report that this has changed. The sequoia grove is now flourishing, thanks in part to the last 50 years of controlled fire. Even better, in recent years, the Yosemite fire managers have sat at the feet of local indigenous tribes to learn not only about traditional burning methods, but to also learn about and witness the ceremonies that go with them. And there is still much to reckon and repair here, much to contend with still in that valley. But I'll take this little tidbit of good news, just a sweet tidbit. My God, isn't Earth, the cosmos, an incredible, mysterious, dizzying, and wondrous thing? Like Muir, I believe our environment, all that teems around us, below us, above us, it is the most sacred of texts. God's first temple and cathedral, as he says. Sitting at the foot of its grandeur, it offers us a dawning recognition that we are both so very small in the face of it all and simultaneously a part of it. Needed earthen vessels like our bees in this wondrous, pulsing ecosystem. Our very bodies made up, my friends, of ancient star stuff. That was a term that the great astronomer Carl Sagan coined when he famously said, "The cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the universe to know itself." Scientist and poet Maria Popova, in her recent book, The Universe in Verse, it's glorious, by the way, writes, "It is an incomprehensible notion for the human mind to grasp. The human mind itself made up of atoms that were once part of particular stars, now constellating into molecules and cells firing electrical charges between neurons at 80 feet per second to produce the spark of thought. Thought that cannot comprehend everything we know, everything we love, everything that ever was and ever will be. To come to terms with this elemental fact," she writes, "is to see ourselves, our inheritance, and our interbelonging, our insignificance, and our sanctity with cleansed eyes, lensed with wonder and tenderness." And I'm going to read that last line again. To come to terms with this elemental fact is to see ourselves, our inheritance, and our interbelonging, our insignificance, and our sanctity with cleansed eyes, lensed with wonder and tenderness. What else to feel but wonder and tenderness when one considers that, like those seeds inside sequoia cones that need heat to expand and open and rain down new life, so too did the universe with which we are not only hitched to but made of, which required the same heat. Or so physicists tell us, right? Out of the void, stretching and expanding heat. And then bang, Big Bang. Life exploded and rained down. Our very lives began. Wow. It felt good to lose my footing and be pushed to the ground last summer at the foot of Grizzly Giant and Fallen Monarch and the Three Graces, just a few names for some of those magnificent trees. And it became no wonder to me that world religions since the beginning of human existence have prescribed kneeling, bowing, or even just sitting on the earth's ground, not just as a sign of reverence or humility, but to remember where we come, from where we come, what we are made up of, and to whom and what we belong. And with this knowledge and knowing to then rise up and move among our earthen kin with some assurance and a sense of belonging and with humility too. If you were to ask me what living a life of faith means, this would be my answer. Putting one's trust in this incomprehensible fact that we are hitched to everything. And no matter the limits of our minds or eyesight or the headlines, we never stop believing in it, ever. And this means renewing ourselves in this faith every day. Maybe it means stretching ourselves into the infinite depths of space or simply tracking the phases of the moon, knowing all of it to be the womb with which we were birthed. Or maybe your faith needs you to be a bit more earthy, knock you off your sure-footedness and get on down to the ground. Feel small. It's good for you. Living a life of faith will also ask you to regularly clear all that old dead brush away, that which does not serve your thriving, and maybe even burn it, so that light and new life might rain down and emerge, hitching you yet again to everything else. I'm going to close by offering you a blessing written by the great John O'Donohue. I hope it will work its way into you today and stay with you in the days ahead. Let us thank the earth that offers ground for home and holds our feet firm to walk in space open to infinite galaxies. Let us ask forgiveness of the earth for our violence and poisonings of her beauty. Let us remember within us the ancient clay, holding the memory of seasons, the passion of the wind, the fluency of water, the warmth of fire, the quiver touch of sun and shadowed sureness of the moon, that we may awaken to live to the full the dream of the earth who chose us to emerge and incarnate its hidden night in mind and in spirit and in light. May it be so, and amen.